Happy Thanksgiving. Today is Thursday, November 28th, 2024. I'm Diane Sayre, president of the LaRouche organization, and I would like to share with you my message for this Thanksgiving Day, followed by a short clip of a speech given by Lyndon LaRouche in New Hampshire. In such a moment as we find ourselves with the suffering nearly unbearable to contemplate in Gaza, which is perhaps the most disturbing because of the gleeful cruelty with which the torture and genocide is imposed, but also in Haiti, South Sudan, and even in Ukraine, where men are being kidnapped to be used as cannon fodder in the dying empire's war. A war on the brink of crossing the threshold into a land of no return. One might ask, why should we pause to give thanks? Let us each ask ourselves, did you choose your circumstance of birth? If we are honest and a little bit humble, we should each answer that question, no. So we might consider that each of us already must admit that someone other than ourselves is responsible for our existence. Should we not also consider that everything upon which we depend, even for our most basic needs, was created by someone else, discovered by someone long gone, harvested by a farmer who planted a seed, which grew into nourishment dependent upon the sun, which exists because of the harmonic ordering of the universe, perfectly formed by a beneficent creator? For all of this, we should give thanks, and in the mindset of thankfulness, we can contemplate how, as creatures of free will, we can act for the benefit of billions of souls, some now suffering in the present, and others to appear in centuries to come. We can act to change the future as millions gone before, some through terrible sacrifice, have contributed to our being here today. Isn't this what the great architect of our universe would expect of us? I am extending a personal invitation to join me at an international online conference December 7th and 8th, convened by Schiller Institute founder Helga LaRouche. The conference is entitled In the Spirit of Schiller and Beethoven, All Men Become Brethren, and it is dedicated to taking this perilous moment of transition in which the colonial system has met its long overdue end, both bankrupted by its own degenerate policies and rejected by the majority of the people on this planet, to bring together new forces to create a new paradigm for mankind by establishing a new security and economic architecture which respects the sovereignty of each nation equally and respects the innate dignity and inalienable rights of every human being on the planet. These objectives are in perfect harmony with the founding principles of the United States of America. The American people have just voted overwhelmingly against war and economic injustice, rejecting a continuation of the Biden-Harris administration, which appears to be working feverishly to prevent peace from breaking out under the incoming President Donald Trump. This is the time for the American people to act, to shape the incoming administration, not a time to wait and see. The ammunition needed to organize everyone you know or don't yet know can be found in the just released pamphlet, Development Drive Means Billions of New Jobs, No Refugees, No War, which was designed to accompany the December 7th and 8th conference. You will see in the links below how you can get these, the pamphlet and the conference invitation. And now I will share with you a quote from Abraham Lincoln's Thanksgiving Proclamation. I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. And I recommend to them that, while offering up the ascriptions justly due to him for such singular deliverances and blessings, they do also with humble penitence for our national perverseness and disobedience, commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife in which we are unavoidably engaged, and fervently implore the interposition of the Almighty hand to heal the wounds of the nation and to restore it as soon as may be consistent with the divine purposes to the full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union. Abraham Lincoln, Thanksgiving Proclamation, October 3rd, 1863. Now we will hear from Lyndon LaRouche on the topic of manifest destiny in the United States.
So in 1861 to 1876, under Lincoln's leadership and his followers, immediate followers, the United States emerged as the most powerful single economy in the world, the most advanced technologically, not necessarily the most advanced scientifically, but the most advanced technologically. Our level of technology was a model, so that by 1876, 1877, the entire world was looking to the United States as the model to be emulated. Russia adopted the model of the Americas. We had Mendeleev, who was at the 1876 Philadelphia celebration of the centennial of the founding of the United States. He went back to Russia and he built the Trans-Siberian Railroad. You had developments in Germany. Germany in 1877 changed its policy fundamentally. So the German economic policy was a copy of the American economic policy. Japan in the 1870s adopted the American model of Henry Carey, and Henry Carey directly had a hand in directing Japan in doing that, to lay the foundations of what became the economic successes in Japan. Yeah. The same thing happened with Sun Yat-sen at a later point. Sun Yat-sen was a Chinese who was educated in Hawaii. While educated in Hawaii, he became the future founder of the nation of China as a republic. He was backed by the Americans. He was hated by the British and persecuted by the British. But if you look at the plans for the development of China by Sun Yat-sen in a book which is published, which we published a copy of this book, even in China, get it back translated into Chinese for the benefit of the Chinese. His model for the development of China was the model of the United States, the model of 1861, 1876, the American model. So in this period, there came a great debate, a debate between the patriots and traitors of the United States, particularly of the latter part of the century. The patriots of the United States looked at the Pacific Ocean and said, in continuation of the ideas of Cusa, that we must go across the Pacific to help the nations of Asia develop. And they understood something more about this. They understood that the culture of European civilization, when we speak of European civilization, we're talking about essentially a Greek-founded or classical Greek foundation for European civilization in all its achievements. So it was a Christian matrix imposed upon the Greek classical model. This was the model upon which our Constitution was based, our laws. This is our difference between us and the British laws and the British traditions. That we recognize that we dealt in the world with other cultures, the culture of China, the culture of India, that we, being the products of European Christian civilization, must find our way to come to an ecumenical agreement and cooperation with people of other cultures in other parts of the world. And the great drive and the great debate in the last part of the 19th century between the patriots on the one side, like Blaine from Maine, who was Secretary of State for a while, who was an associate of President Garfield, an associate of the great heroes of our nation in that period, had this conception: we must go across the Pacific to establish an ecumenical relationship and bond with the peoples on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, to develop the world as a whole for our common benefit. And we must reach out to other nations. What was the other idea here? That because of problems in Europe, and of course I have a great deal to do with Europe personally, I know a good deal about it. I have a wife who beats me if I don't learn enough about it. But in any case, if you look at European governments and European political systems, the political systems of Europe are at their best inferior to the form of government which we established here in the United States with our Constitution. What's the difference? We have, our head of state is an elected president. There is no person under our law, because the Congress doesn't obey the law too well these days, but there's no person under our law who has greater authority in the state as a person, as an elected official, than the President of the United States. That is the characteristic of our Constitution.